Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers. LA 2112. Offices in Baton Rouge. Hunt and Hill. Hunt Palmer. Jeremy Hill holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. It's Hunt and Hill. Now on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Welcome in, Hunt and Hill, on a Wednesday from the Mercedes-Benz Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city. I am Hunt Palmer, he is Hill, Jeremy Hill, Casey Gaines, and Taylor Sharp back there on the ones and twos. Loads of football to get to Glen West in 15 minutes on LSU's camp. I have Cat Terrell with us from ESPN. She is down at Saints camp right now. We'll chat with her at 1:15 about the goings-on the Black and Gold's practice field today. Got Jeremy's lead toss coming up at the top of hour number 2. I've got some complaining to do at 12:30. I know you're all excited about that. We are going to start with Saints camp today. Tomorrow we'll be really heavy on LSU. We'll get a chance to see a full practice inside Tiger Stadium tomorrow. So very much looking forward to that, and we'll have all the reaction to it here on tomorrow's show. And we'll be with Glenn in 15 minutes to talk LSU. But we do want to start with the Saints today, where it appears the Saints offense was rolling today in the red zone periods. Jameis Winston out for a few days with that sprained foot. Andy Dalton in there taking the snaps, and he was very, very crisp in the red zone portion of today's workout. Michael Thomas had a couple of touchdowns, a contested one in the corner of the end zone. Taysom Hill got on the act with a touchdown catch. And I wanted to kind of start things off on a topic that we hope we don't have to discuss. But the fact of the matter is the Saints have had to discuss it for 3 years in a row. So we are going to talk a little bit about what the backup quarterback spot looks for the New Orleans Saints. We know that Teddy Bridgewater was sprung into action. They won every game. Teddy started. Then the following year, they went to Taysom Hill instead of Jameis Winston, and they stayed afloat. And then last year when Jameis went down, you had Trevor Siemian, whose play was but they had nothing around him, and they didn't play very well. You had to go to Ian Book because of COVID and all that kind of stuff, and that was a total disaster. And you weren't necessarily quite able to stay afloat last year. Certainly wasn't all on the backup quarterback, but that had something to do with it. Your receiver core wasn't there. Your offensive line was banged up at times. Had some issues on defense every once in a while. But Andy Dalton very well, and he has been brought in to be the backup quarterback on this team. Apparently showed very, very well in practice today. I'm not asking you if Andy Dalton starts 17 games, what does this look like? I'm asking you if Jameis Winston has to miss a month. What do you think Andy Dalton has in the tank and how well he can pilot this offense?
Yeah, I think he has enough in the tank to keep the boat afloat until Jameis gets back. I think at this point in his career, he's played a ton of football, and he knows how to win football games. He knows how to take care of the football. So if you're going to surround him with talent, I think that helps Andy's play a ton, and he's going to be surrounded with some really, really great weapons on the outside, and I think he's a quarterback that can get the ball to those weapons. So I think in some ways I kind of trust him more passing the ball more consistently than Jameis, actually. So I think for the Saints right now, with Jameis being out, having a guy with so many starts and so much experience in the league, it's not a bad spot for the Saints to be in.
He played more the last 2 years than I realized, quite frankly. He started 9 games for the Cowboys in 2020 in the COVID year, played in 11 of them, and he started 6 games last year for the Bears. This is a guy who, in both of those seasons, in abbreviated time, completed about 65% of his throws. He did turn the ball over a good amount. He had 8 interceptions in 9 games with Dallas. He had 9 interceptions in 6 starts for the Bears last year. So did turn it over a little bit. Not that those were great situations to be in, being thrust into action there as a backup quarterback. This offense looks to be in pretty good shape up front, and the guys on the outside are getting healthy, and it looks to be a team with a lot of weapons. This was a disaster of an announcement when the Chicago Bears came out last year and said, this is our starting quarterback, and everybody's banging on the fence wanting Justin Fields. This is a totally different situation. Everybody understands it's Jameis' team. I think Andy understands that. It's just a nice little backup policy to have that, if he plays 17 games, you're probably not going to be great. If he plays 4, he can go 2-2, maybe 3-1, depending on where you are in the schedule.
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's not, like you said, we're not talking about him playing the entire season here. We just need him to come in, take care of the football, make sure we kind of game match. I know that's an overused statement right there, but I think Andy can do that. And what I'm hearing from Saints camp is that he's throwing the ball really well, so I think that's also a good sign for the Saints.
He did not throw an incompletion today in the red zone period. Only one of his passes did not go for a touchdown. It was completed, just wasn't a touchdown. So sounds like a good day for Andy Dalton. It also sounds like things are really moving in the right direction for Michael Thomas. This is a topic that we hit just about once a day, but I think it is that relevant because once you put him at the top of this wide receiver core, everything else starts to feed off it. Is that exact opposite of what you had last year when you lost Thomas and everyone had to move up and you had to rely on Marquez Callaway and Traquan Smith to be 1 and 2 type guys. You had to lean a lot on Deontay Hardy to be a focal point in the passing game. Those guys are not that at the NFL level. Marquez Callaway as a 4 is great. Same with Traquan Smith. He's a certainly serviceable 4. Deontay Hardy, when used as a gadget and a type of playmaker that you have to account for every once in a while, is a really good piece. When he's working the middle of the football field, you got a little bit of a problem. Now you put Michael Thomas at the top, and then you fit Jarvis in on the slot. You allow Olave to come on without getting the most attention of anybody on the field. That's a great situation for him as well. So, they're gonna continue as everybody said, ramping up. That's all the Saints have talked about with every player. They've ramping up. Whether it's Mike Thomas coming back from injury, where it's Tyron missing some time and coming back, whether it's Taysom ramping things up, even Jameis, who was dealing with some injury issues all summer. So, I think the reports coming out about Michael Thomas are overwhelmingly positive.
Oh, yeah, they definitely are. And I think that's a great sign for all parties involved. And I think there's a lot of speculation going into the spring, going into the fall camp and training camp, and wondering just where he stood with the Saints and did he want to play? Would he be back out there? And so to see him back out there competing and then really, getting him back into the fold and getting him back playing football. It's been a long time since we've seen Michael Thomas playing at a high level. So I think if the Saints can get that guy back and with the other weapons they have on offense, they're in a great spot.
Taysom Hill out there going through drills in the red zone, making catches. I don't know that I would call him full speed at the moment in terms of contact and tackling. They don't do a ton of that anyway. But I don't know that I would call him full speed, but he is able to participate far more often than he's not, which is really good. I was very critical of Sean Payton's decisions to play him at quarterback as much as he did. I just thought it looked bad. It didn't function the way I wanted it to. And without being on the inside and knowing and covering Sean Payton every day, just simply from looking back from the outside, I just thought he was trying to prove himself there. Yeah, y'all know I can do it with 9 back there, and we can set every record you got and win a championship. But watch what I can do with Taysom Hill. Maybe that's misguided. Maybe that's just a little bit of a story building, but it's just kind of what it felt like.
Yeah.
But when you move him, to a tight end spot, you move him to a red zone quarterback spot, somebody they've got to account for in multiple ways, there's a spot there for him.
Yeah, I think for Taysom, especially last year, I can't fault Sean Payton for the quarterback situation at all last season. I think you have to just put whoever out there you could to win the game. But I think this year for Taysom, we know the football player that he is. And so if he can get back healthy, I know he's been dealing with just about everything you can name. It's just the most random injuries you can find. But if he can get back healthy out there, he's a playmaker. He's going to make plays. You can find gadget stuff, and I still think there'll be plays where times where he gets the ball in the shotgun and they let him do his thing there too. So Taysom's just all around good for the Saints. I think he's great energy to see a guy like that who's kind of a 5-tool guy on the offensive side and really can do everything. It's a good sign to have him back.
So you know how camp goes when you're scrimmaging yourself. There's always a positive and a negative. So if the Saints offense is rocking and rolling today, Esh, we talked to Sharif yesterday, and he was like, yeah, the offense has kind of been winning more often than not. And today that continued. So obviously the defense stinks, right? Mm-hmm. That's the way camp's got to go. You got to have issues on defense. I'm not concerned with the Saints defense allowing a bunch of touchdowns in the red zone period. What I am a little bit concerned about is Pete Werner not practicing today. We'll talk to Cat Terrell in an hour and 20 minutes and kind of get an update there. But they're a little thin at the linebacker spot. You've got Demario Davis, who you think is a star, and you think Pete Werner is going to elevate his level of play to kind of make that tandem roll. And he was not out there again today, been dealing with some issues, again, early in camp, but I'd like him to practice.
Yeah, you definitely want that guy. So I think anytime you spend high of a draft pick on a guy, you want to see that guy start progressing. I think for Saints fans and probably a lot of their coaches and general management, they just haven't seen that enough for him at a high enough level. And we've seen the potential, especially in the preseason, especially last preseason. I saw him making some plays. So he's a guy who needs to get out there. Like, that's the exact opposite of Tyrann Mathieu. You want that guy out there getting the reps. So you got to get him back out there and see what he can really bring to the Saints.
Moving towards first preseason game of the season for the New Orleans Saints. That'll be Saturday in Houston against the Texans. You will not see Jameis Winston in that game. Of course, Jameis did not practice today. I think the hope is to get him back into some significant practice reps next week when the Saints will scrimmage the Packers. They'll play the Packers in the preseason. They will practice against the Packers 3 times next week up there in Green Bay. 1, nice to get out of the heat. 2, that's a good team to kind of test yourself against. You like to have your starting quarterback ready to roll in that one. I'll go big picture here before we get to Glenn West in 5 minutes. Anything that you've noticed from Saints camp that we haven't brought up continuously, whether that be what's going on the offensive line, whether that be quarterback play? I know running back's something that we've talked about. What jumps out to you?
I think just the play of the other running backs. I really haven't heard much. I haven't heard like Mark Ingram lighting it up or Abram Smith or any of the guys they have in that room. And I think that's I think with the news of Kamara getting that break and getting that date pushed back, he's going to be there early on, but do you know he's going to be on the back end? And so I kind of want to see if, those guys can really carry that torch, if they still, live in a world where they need to probably sign a free agent and bring someone on. So that's probably the only news that's kind of, I haven't heard much about.
You a Hard Knocks guy?
I haven't watched this year. It's not, the Lions just haven't, moved the needle enough for me, but I have seen some clips, and anytime, players are crying, giving up motivational speeches. Yep. No, it's touching sometimes, but when you lose 16 games, that can have that effect on people. 15 games.
The debut episode was last night for Hard Knocks, which is on the Lions this year, and I did not get a chance to watch it. I came home from Pluckers Trivia and went to sleep, but I will watch tonight. It's just, I think more so than the content of Hard Knocks at this point, I just really like the music that intros it, and it's always every August, and it feels like football is coming. The na-na-na, na-na-na, na-na-na. And it just feels like football is coming, and that's a good thing. So I'll watch the Lions episode tonight. I know they've got some Billie Jean being done by Aiden Hutchinson. I know we got crying motivational speeches. We'll probably have some family moving into their home for training camp, and some kids and that kind of stuff. And we'll have somebody get out and ride a scooter, I'm sure, and there'll be a fight at practice. And it's the same thing basically every year, but it's part of the routine. It's part of the sports calendar that gets rolling, and so I'll lock in on it tonight and see what happens. Speaking of football, Fighting Tigers back on the practice field today. We will see him again tomorrow inside Tiger Stadium. Glenn West covers the Tigers for Go 247. He will join us next on Hunt and Hill.
Hunt Palmer and Jeremy Hill. It's Hunt and Hill.
Speaking of football's coming, tailgating's coming. Revelry Sports and Entertainment is your one-stop shop for turnkey tailgating. Go to the website, revelryteam.com. You can explore all the options, all the amenities, all the dates, all the packages. Everything that they can do is right there on the website, and Jeremy will tell you about it.
Yeah, so I have to tell you guys about Revelry's full-service turnkey tailgating and their standard package, which comes with 25 to 30 people in capacity of 10 by 20, high-peak tent, all-day concierge, bellhop service, electricity hookups, and they even do a post-gate tailgate cleanup for you.
Look, we know it's August, and that's not football season, but it's getting close, and that's not too early to book your Alabama tailgate for November. If you want to get in this, go now, because they will sell out for that Alabama game. If you're coming in and you want something for Southern or New Mexico State, this is what you need to have. Turnkey tailgating. They got your tent. They got your furniture. They got your ice. They got your trash pickup. They'll set up your TV right outside Tiger Stadium, just 3 blocks away at Patrick F. Taylor Hall. Revelry Team, Revelry Sports and Entertainment, revelryteam.com for your tailgating needs. revelryteam.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR presented by Pluckers. We'll get you an update from Saints Camp. It's a Whiskey Wednesday. We'll do overrated, underrated. Join us Wednesday, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Yeah. A little football music there for you. I'll be listening to that later tonight. Hard Knocks Browns. We shall see. Oh, there it is. That's what you want right there. That's good stuff. Just feels like August. Go out to the phone lines now. Glenn West covers LSU for Go 247. Glenn, thanks for the time. How are you, sir?
Some pretty dramatic lead-in music for me, guys. I appreciate it. I'm doing great, though. How are you?
Doing good. Let's talk about some of the things that we've noticed so far in camp. Tigers are now a week deep into this thing. One of the spots that I was curious to see kind of what would emerge early on in camp was at center. Charles Turner's a guy that's been talked at a lot just because his body type kind of lends itself towards center as opposed to the other spots on the line. But it appears that Garrett Dellinger's getting a strong look there. Where do you see the center spot right now?
Yeah, it's been definitely one of the more interesting ones. They've rotated a number of guys in, but Dellinger has been getting a lot of work with the first team at that center spot. And, you know, it's something that he was really approached with back in spring. He kind of had, towards the end of spring, he started feeling like his old self again. And he was hampered with a little bit of an injury for most of the camp, so he wasn't able to participate in a lot of team drills. So now he's obviously getting, that opportunity now, working with all the quarterbacks after practice, and seems like he's, a lot more comfortable with it now after speaking with him. I think it was yesterday we had player interviews, but we had a great opportunity to catch up with him, and he's certainly in the mix, I think, at that center spot. And I think just one of the big takeaways I've had from that group as a whole is that they're doing so much mixing and matching. It's almost like a O-line musical chairs that we've kind of had through fall camp the first week or so, and they're just trying to see which combinations stick and which ones really work.
What do you think about right tackle?
Yeah, right tackle's another one. I mean, Anthony Bradford's getting a lot of the first-team reps there. They're working in a bunch of guys on that right side, but Bradford seems to be kind of the most consistent. I know the staff loves kind of his ability to be able to shift his feet there at that right tackle spot. And, this is a guy we've kind of been waiting on really to kind of fulfill that potential. And there's been a number of things that has kind of hindered him throughout his first couple of years. But from everything we've heard and seen on the field, I mean, he's back. He's 100% focused. And, I think he's really very quickly earning the trust of Brian Kelly and certainly of Brad Davis, his O-line coach.
Been hearing a lot of buzz about Noah Cain and him getting a lot of reps with the ones. Do you think there's a world where John Emery doesn't take the field against Florida State, not the starting running back?
I don't think so. I think kind of what we've heard really throughout the entire fall and kind of throughout off season as well is that they see this as a very much a by committee kind of backfield. I think Emery's going to get his opportunities, but Cain kind of brings that experience, and I think they really want to see what they have in Cain here. He wasn't really available. He wasn't on campus in spring, so they don't have that evaluation yet. So getting him here in the fall, I think, just kind of opened up a lot of opportunities for the staff to see him, kind of with the first team. And I think that's probably more why you're seeing Cain. They just kind of want to see what they have in him. And obviously his 3-year career at Penn State was very interesting. He had a really great freshman year, and then kind of a sophomore Liz Frank injury kind of hindered his last 2 years there at Penn State. And so I think now he feels 100%. He's happy to be home, and I think he's going to be a serious contributor in this backfield this season.
Well, I guess let's just tie all that together. You talk about an offensive line that's playing musical chairs a bit. You got a tailback coming off of Liz Frank in 2 iffy years, and then John Emery didn't play last year. What are your expectations for the running game as a whole?
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting one. I have no honestly. I think this is going to be it's an offense that we've heard really all off season. It's going to be kind of that, the what is the old adage that they keep saying they're going to get the ball to the playmakers or something. And certainly they feel like these running backs are going to be some of those playmakers they need to get the ball to. And I think really we won't get a great sense of kind of who's separating themselves and all that until really the second or third week of camp. I think very much so like the quarterbacks, they kind of want to see, they spent this first week really just kind of rehashing everything they did in the spring. And so, this first scrimmage that we get to watch tomorrow morning as a media will be very telling, I think, with all that. But I do think this is going to have to be a little bit more of a balanced offense. I mean, you guys remember last year when they got a little bit pass heavy at times and became a little bit more one-dimensional. I think the hope is that, Emery and Cain can give them some balance in the run game, and you're certainly going to need those guys to produce week in and week out.
Not hearing much buzz about the tight ends. Do you think they could have an effective running game this season with them having mostly 4 receivers on the field?
I do. I think you're going to be able to switch in some of those tight ends. I think, Mashburn last year, I think, showed you enough to show that he's a proven blocking tight end. I'm not sure if he's going to be a guy that you're going to see on every down kind of tight end guy, but we spoke to Denbrock earlier this week. He said that it's going to be something that tight ends are going to have to show the coaching staff. They're going to have to earn it. They're going to have to prove it in order to see the field. And I think there's still some kind of iffies in terms of how much you're going to be able to see those tight ends. I know that Nick Storrs on Monday was getting some first-team reps with the tight ends, and I think that just goes to show you, they really don't have a clear answer right now at tight end. And I think they're going to be really using and subbing in a lot of guys over the next couple of weeks to see who they can kind of count on and be reliable, to start the season.
I cannot be held accountable for Glenn bringing up Nick Storrs. I did not talk baseball. I'm trying to keep it to football. I just want everybody in the Bayou 4 chat to calm down. All right. So let's go to the defensive side. Oh no, that's one more question on the offense that I had. We had Scott Rabelais on earlier, and he was there when Mike Denbrock spoke. You were as well. And Mike Denbrock mentioned wanted to have as much athleticism at the quarterback spot as you would like to have. Now, any spot on the field you would like to have as athletic a player as you possibly can have. That goes without saying. Did you read anything more into him saying that?
I don't think so. I mean, look, I think they have some pretty athletic quarterbacks, and obviously not just the mobility that Jaden Daniels presents, but, I mean, we saw it last year. Garrett Nussmeier proved to be able to scramble a little bit. We haven't seen Miles in 2 years, I guess, on the field in a game situation, so it's kind of hard to expect what you can get from him mobility-wise. But I think, the bigger point there was just guys I think are going to be able to extend plays. And obviously Daniels is a guy who won't be able to just extend plays, but kind of push the ball downfield if he kind of gets into a scramble mode. But, I do think mobility is going to be a part of this offense from the quarterback spot, but there are going to be ways in which you can work in that mobility with each guy in there, and they're going to play to those guys' strengths. And, I think that all guys are going to – you kind of have to be a little bit mobile now as a quarterback, regardless of, if you're a pure pocket passer or if you're a guy who can get downfield a little bit. So, that's going to be something they're going to have to work in for sure.
I think it's pretty safe to say Bernard Converse has probably landed him the starting spot on the outside. Who do you think has the best chance to start on the other cornerback for the season?
Man, you're barking up the right tree there, Jeremy. I mean, like if the offensive line is the musical chairs of the offense, the cornerback spot is going to definitely be that kind of switching in and out of the defense. I mean, there really hasn't been much of a consistent rotation that we've seen. I mean, Mekhi Gardner is a guy that obviously is a big-bodied corner that we've seen back into the spring. I think he's shown some flashes, but I mean, we got out to the practice field the other day, and Bernard Converse wasn't there. Demarius McGee was still out with an injury that he suffered in that first practice. I mean, we got a chance to see Seven Banks for the first time out on the field, kind of with team drills and individual drills, so that was nice to see. But that's going to be kind of the one position group on defense I'm going to be watching very, very closely on Thursday, just because there hasn't been a whole lot of continuity built there yet. You still have to build that and hope those guys can get healthy and be build some of that chemistry over the next couple weeks before the start of the season.
It's going to be 25 years worth of media dogs chasing cars out there tomorrow. This access is unprecedented. No one's going to even know what to do with themselves. Glenn, we appreciate some time. We'll see you out there tomorrow.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Glenn West, Go 247 Sports for all your camp updates. Head over to Go 247. I mean, we knew like with Les, who I covered for a long time, and then briefly Coach O when I was out there a little bit, Les was going to have you in for 20 minutes. You were going to watch the team do big cat drills for 5 minutes. You were going to go watch individuals where they run through cones and hit bags and pop sleds. And then you were going to see the quarterbacks hand off to the running backs briefly. And then you were going to be kicked out. And that was the entirety. And you could try to grab whatever information you could, take roll and say, oh, man, Eric Reed looks good today. But, you don't really know anything. Yeah. You go out to a scrimmage, there will be statistics that media will compile. There will be rep counts. There's actually going to be real information to be disseminated tomorrow, which is not something that we've seen a lot of.
So you're telling me the days of our quarterbacks going 25 for 27 for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns, we're not going to see that anymore?
It was less of that, which you're on the right track there, but it was more of just the most round numbers you could find. Yeah, Jefferson was 15 of 20 for 150 yards and 1 touchdown. Lee was 10 of 15 for 75 yards and 2 touchdowns. No one was ever 11 for 27, or no one was ever 25 for 26, and no one ever threw for 63 yards. They threw for 75 yards, 100 yards, 150 yards. Oh, yeah, you saw Hill out there. He ran for 115 and 2 touchdowns. It's we know these are made up. Everyone knows these are made up. Don't even tell me that's what the situation was out there.
Yeah, no, I think it's good now. You get to get a good chance, and I think it creates a world where you can kind of see exactly where everyone is now when it's actually, game time. And I think we got to get to see that last year with some of the guys we saw got to make plays. And so we kind of, felt comfortable about who we thought could possibly break out going to the season. I think now everyone gets to see that.
How fired up are the players going to be to get in Tiger Stadium tomorrow, put on full pads?
Look, you're looking for every excuse to get in that building as a player. I mean, you go through so many practices on the same practice field, to go in the indoor, go on the practice field. It's okay. We need a little change up here. Yeah. So anytime you get to go in the stadium, it's always a nice refresh.
Does the intensity level perk up?
Oh, yeah, I think definitely for the scrimmages. I think anytime, you've been thudding it up for, days on end, there's a little barking going on, especially with guys trying to earn their spot. So that first scrimmage normally is the most fireworks you'll see because everyone's ready to go, and it's the first time you really get to bring people to the ground.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and Citizens Bank and Trust hope to add to your football party budget this year with a $5,000 national grand prize or a $1,000 local cash prize. Register for a chance to win at 1045ESPN.com. We want to wish you best of luck and happy tailgating from Citizens Bank and Trust and 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge. I am very, very happy that we're going to get to go watch a scrimmage tomorrow. I'm cranky about something else. We'll tell you what that is next on Hunt and Hill.
Hold down the middle of the day. This is Hunt and Hill. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off MSRP on all new 2022 Ram Black Widow trucks in stock. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with LIV for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes LUBA a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
On Thursdays, Off the Bench, the latest on the LSU quarterback race and what's going on, the black and gold. Plus, we got a brand new edition of Big Deal or No Big Deal. Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Join host Mark Ramsey as he brings you bite-sized Hollywood history inside the new Drop Biscuit Studio podcast, You Talking to Me. You can listen, download, or subscribe today at dropbiscuit.com. Told you I was going to get a little cranky in this segment. Probably won't go over the top, but, you know, it is what it is. What's one of everyone's favorite things to complain about in the offseason during football? It's the schedule. The SEC wants to stick it to LSU. They're in Bama's back pocket. Hate the crossover rivalries. Stupid Alabama, Tennessee. We don't care about Auburn, Georgia. Why LSU, Florida? All this kind of stuff. I've said my piece on that over the years. I hate playing Florida every year. I'd rather play Vanderbilt every year. That's the way I would like it, but it's not the way that it is. But the other piece to the divisions is that you have a rotating opponent. And sometimes you fall on the good end of that, and sometimes you fall on the bad end. I remember very distinctly when they re-announced the COVID schedule, and I went home, and they aired on SEC Network what the schedule was going to be, and we got Missouri and Vanderbilt. And I went, well, that's awesome. We're coming off a national championship. You gave us those two dogs. And that was great. So sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's not good. And I would venture to say that as an LSU fan, this year's rotational opponents are as misplaced as they could possibly be. I'll lend you my rationale here as I roll through the non-permanents. These are the rotating Eastern Division opponents. LSU hosts Tennessee. Tennessee is not going to win the league, we don't think. I don't think they're going to be awesome. I think they're going to be exciting at times. They got a really good quarterback. But they've been pathetic for 15 years, and now that they're getting, they have a bit of an identity and a really good quarterback, of course, that's when we draw Tennessee. So I'm a little cranky about that, but not as much as I'll keep moving forward. Who do we want to have the toughest draw from the East? Well, that would be Alabama. I would really like it if they got a really tough game out of the East. They got Vanderbilt at home. That's as easy as it gets. So that is not great. Georgia is the team from the East that you most want to see your rivals play. I want them to take out A&M. I want them to take out Bama. Let's get Georgia in somebody's back. Well, they're going to Mississippi State. And while I don't like Mississippi State, they're not a factor in the West. That's a waste of the SEC East's biggest bullet is to have them go to Starkville, in my opinion. So that's not great. Texas A&M, another team in the SEC West that I desperately want to fail. I want them to get as tough a draw out of the East. You wait and hope for the years when Florida and Georgia roll around on the A&M schedule. Lo and behold, here comes Florida on A&M schedule. But they're in the middle of a coaching change and their roster's been gutted and they're not expected to be very good. So finally we get Florida to play Texas A&M, and they're not going to be very good. This is not one of your Urban Meyer National Championship teams. This is not Kyle Trask putting up crazy numbers. This is Florida with a first-year starter basically at quarterback and a gutted roster and a first-year head coach. That's disappointing that's when A&M draws Florida. Kentucky at Ole Miss, I could go either way on. I hope Ole Miss loses the game, but Kentucky's better than they generally are. I don't have a lot to say about that. Auburn's a team that we want to fail if you're in the SEC West. Missouri is going to be terrible. They go to Auburn, but this is not an Auburn team that I care too much about. And Arkansas is a team that I'd really like to see knock down a pedestal, so I'd really like to see one of the really good teams go there and beat them. They're playing South Carolina at home. That's not a game that I expect them to have a ton of trouble with. So there's not really anything I can point to like, oh, well, at least we got that one. All the teams I want to get tough opponents don't have them. All the tough opponents from the East that I want, they play the easy teams. It's a terrible crossover year in terms of non-permanent opponents if you're an LSU fan.
Look, I got to sometimes laugh at the Bayou 4 chat, man. My boy Bilbo Baggins says, Hunt, if you should be a Notre Dame fan if you want a Charmin's off schedule. And look, and as a former player, as a former player, I kind of got to disagree here. The last thing you want is playing the number 1 ranked team this week, the number 3 team that week, and the 4 team. Look, it adds up quick, man. Those are grueling battles, and then sometimes, your body can't heal quick enough. So sometimes you need a break here in the schedule. And for LSU, it just sometimes seems like we just don't get that way, especially, where the program is now. Now, if we're reeling in, top 3 recruiting class after year, we got the same head coach for the past decade, and that's one thing. But we're trying to change things around. So I think this year, not the best draw. I think that Tennessee game is going to be a big one for LSU. If you can find a way to win that game, I think it helps you draw out a ton. Yeah, it's. I got to start talking now.
Bilbo's going in the Bayou Ford chat. He says, Hunt, you should be a Notre Dame fan if you want a Charmin soft schedule. Bilbo, I will just suggest that, and maybe I'm wrong. You can go in the Bayou Ford chat and see what you think. I'm going to suggest you thought it was awesome that LSU was playing Alabama in the national championship game after the 2011 season. You didn't want Oklahoma State because we want to beat Bama again. Well, what happened? You got your teeth kicked in. Yes. I would suggest you're probably pulling for Bama to beat Texas in the national championship game, pulling for Florida to beat Ohio State in those national championship games, and creating these monsters that we have a hard time dealing with. That's my guess, is that you want to do that. You, instead of wanting to just open the door and walk through it, want to try to run through it and knock it over when there's a better way to go about this. You also say LSU beat 7 of the top 10 in 2019. It proves we don't need an easy schedule. Bilbo, if you give me 100 first-round picks and the best player that's ever walked on campus, I'll go play whoever you want. I'll go play the Colts. But we don't have that every year. To say we have the 2019 team every year, we don't. And, yeah, there are some teams we field that are pretty good and can run the table. But more often than not, they're not. So I'd like to have a couple of weeks where I can take a week off and go beat Vanderbilt by 50. So sue me. I'm still okay. We're going to play Bama. We're going to play A&M. We're going to play Auburn. I'd like to play Vanderbilt. It's a good week.
It's the SEC. Look, you already have to play an SEC. And even in 20, like you said, you were playing all SEC games for that entire year. So getting that draw was amazing. There's no other draw. It probably would have made the season even worse not getting those draws in that year. So I think especially now for me, I got purple and gold all through my blood and veins. But I want to see this team get back to winning. Let's get some 9 or 10 win seasons back under our belt before we start bumping our chest again. Look, I learned my lesson last year. So we can ease back into this thing, man. We can ease back into it.
We got Yodak in the Bayou 4 chat says LSU should play Florida every year. That should not change. I'm okay with that if we expand the playoff.
Okay. Yeah.
But if we don't, and I'm still competing in the same division, I mean, look, Ole Miss went to the Sugar Bowl last year, and they're playing Vanderbilt every year, and I'm playing Florida. I'm not awesome with that. I'll just be quite honest with you.
Yeah, no, I think for me, I was on the, getting the more permanent teams, but I think this revolving door, maybe picking 3, be good with that, or even picking 2 and be good with that and kind of get this thing rolling that way. I think especially with Texas and Oklahoma joining the conference, I think it creates a world where, getting those lucky schools, like you said, some of these West schools are getting some lucky permanent opponents. So let's get that changed up a little bit, and I think it'll create a little more parity in the SEC.
Jacques Cormery in the Bayou Ford chat says the real question is whether a team that plays a cupcake schedule would be good enough by the end of the year to actually win a playoff or the championship game. And then he continues on and says, I don't think they would. Jacques, I would direct you to the Clemson Tigers, who load up on Duke and NC State and a down Miami program and Wake Forest and Boston College and North Carolina and all those teams. And then they go to the national championship game because they got Trevor Lawrence or Deshaun Watson and they beat Alabama. Yeah. Just because you beat somebody by 50 in September and you didn't have to play Alabama and Florida every year doesn't mean your team's not good. Does it help you to have iron sharpen iron at times? Does it help you maybe get into the national championship game or get that 1 seed like LSU did over Ohio State? There are certainly times where that's relevant, but it doesn't happen. More often than you just lose, then it helps you out and you get to the national championship game. It's, quit being scared to play tough teams. Yodak, we play plenty of tough teams. I promise you. We play as many as anybody in the country. Just every once in a while, I like to step out of the arena. It's okay.
Look, I mean, we're scheduling Oregon first game of the year. We're scheduling Wisconsin first game. Like, we don't run from smoke. Like, we're not scared. We're not scared to play anybody. We're going to do that. But I think looking at the program where it is now, I think you got a lot of work to do. I think depth is still an issue with this team. And so going out and trying to play the number 2 team this week and number 5 team that week, look, man, we all bleed purple and gold. But let's hold our horses a little bit here.
I mean, look, here's the deal. You're telling me LSU and Alabama have been jockeying for a position in the West to win the West for the last 12 years. Alabama plays Tennessee every year, who can't win a bowl game or get to a bowl game half the time. And LSU's playing Florida, who's contending for national championships. That just is what it is. I didn't say what was good or bad or what was or wasn't. That is what the schedule says. So, that's the way it goes. It's just something for me to complain about here on an August day. We like that. How about that? All right, we'll come back. When we come back, Bruce Feldman wrote his annual Freaks piece in The Athletic. LSU does have a member of the Freaks list. We'll give you some unbelievable numbers that some of these college athletes are pulling off. That's next to finish out hour number 1 on Hunt and Hill.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge with Hunt and Hill. This week on dropbiscuit.com or wherever you listen to podcasts is our new series Pops, the Louis Armstrong story. Pops is brought to you by New Orleans & Company. Check out neworleans.com and come visit New Orleans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Light beer shouldn't taste like water. Miller Lite has more taste and only 96 calories. It's Miller time.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
It's no secret, the best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR, presented by Pluckers. We'll get you an update from Saints Camp. It's a Whiskey Wednesday. We'll do overrated, underrated. Join us Wednesday, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Closing up hour number 1, Cat Terrell from ESPN will join us in hour number 2 to talk Saints. That'll be at 1:15. We finish up this hour with Bruce Feldman's annual freaks list of college football that he puts at The Athletic every single year, and some of these numbers are just hilarious to read. LSU is represented on the list. We'll get to that here in a moment, but we start with number 1, Mozzie Smith from Michigan. He's a defensive tackle. He is 6'3", 337 pounds. And some of these measurables are outrageous at 6'3", 337. He does 22 reps on the bench press, which is pretty good. And then you realize that he's not doing 225, he's doing 325, and he does 22 reps. Jeez. His close grip bench is 550 pounds, and he vertical jumps 44 inches. I've never heard of anything like this. 44 inches. That is sick.
Yeah. No, that's freakish. I mean, you don't get athleticism at that size. That's extremely rare to find. And so if he can, project out and use some technique with that, that's a dangerous guy to mess with.
So the number 2, you may have heard of his dad. The bloodlines are pretty good here. Marvin Harrison Jr. is a wide receiver at Ohio State. He's 6'3", 205. He benched 380 pounds, doing 22 reps at 225. He clocked a 3.94 pro shuttle, broad jumped almost 11 feet, and he topped out at 23 miles an hour on the GPS. That's 6'3", 210.
That is flying. This is definitely a freak list because these numbers, that's incredible to see. And so, that's definitely me. You got a case to be number 1 with those numbers.
This is a sad state of affairs. This guy's number 10. He's at Alabama. I never heard of him, but it sounds like he's not going to be very fun to play against. His name's Chris Braswell. He had 13 tackles last year. He's 6'3", 245. He squats 705 pounds and power cleaned 405. His vertical is 38.5 inches.
Oh, my God. Look, man, I thought my 605 was doing something, and you hear someone's doing 705.
705.
Yeah, that's unworldly. I don't think you realize how much weight that actually is. Just pushing that weight with just it on the bar. Better yet, putting it on your back. That's crazy. So, yeah, he's definitely a guy you probably don't want to be meeting in the A-gap.
No, he's not. LSU is represented number 12. Mason Smith is represented here on the Freaks list. 6'5", 300 pounds. They said he was clocked at 19.5 miles per hour on the GPS and can touch 11 feet in the standing vertical. So if it's just under the rim, he can go up a foot over it at 6'5", 300 pounds.
Yeah, man. The first time me and you let eyes on Mason, we knew he just stood out from the rest of the group, and his athleticism and his size, and we knew he was very young last year, but he's coming into that grown man body, and he's definitely a guy that I'm intending on having a breakout season.
A couple more as we just kind of rip through some of these numbers for these freaks. Dylan Horton at TCU. He is 6'4", 280. And he ran a 4.55 40, power cleaned 400, and squatted at 700. 4.55 at 6'4", 280.
Yeah, it's a different time. This is just
that's about what Jarvis ran at the combine before he came and fixed it at Pro Day.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. That's flying. That's unreal. And I think the thing with all these guys is, these guys are small. Like every single guy you've named, they're really, really big, and they run really, really fast. So just let you know what's out there on any given Saturday in college football.
And then one more of a small guy. Well, small is relative, I guess. 5'11", 200 pounds. This is Jalen Wright, the running back at Tennessee. At 5'11", 200 pounds, he ran at 23.6 miles per hour and had a vertical at 44 inches.
Yeah, that's fast, and that's jumping out the gym. That's freak athleticism right there. I don't think people realize just how fast 23 miles per hour is. That you're flying.
Are there any guys that come to mind for you that just workout warriors in there? Michael Ford's a guy you've talked about a lot.
Yeah, Michael Ford's a guy that was crazy. Odell's a guy that was crazy. Odell used to have conditioning tests. Odell's beating everybody by 15 yards, and you'd see that guy. He's doing 360 dunks, between the leg dunks, and he's hitting 450-foot home runs. He was just a different guy to be around, and he not bad at soccer either. Just whatever that guy picked up, he could do at a high level.
That's such a crazy thing. Drew Brees is kind of like that. He used to beat Andy Roddick at tennis when they were juniors, and he can jump up at that 5'10" and dunk the ball over the crossbar, and he got this freakish athleticism you would never notice in Drew. Odell's gotten filled out and gotten bigger over the years, but Drew's pretty unassuming, and I mean Odell. You've seen some of those videos of him, going up, like you mentioned, throwing up those dunks and doing everything. I remember him being a highly thought of recruit from Newman. He was he went to the Under Armour, or he went to the Army game and did some different things there. I think he may have gone and played running back in that game, just because they were low on numbers. But they think of him as just being that much more athletic than everybody else, but he is.
No, he definitely is. And I think, not getting much love in Baton Rouge lately, but Tommy Moffitt, you could see that program because Odell's probably 160 pounds soaking wet his freshman year. And then you see him go to get to his junior year. He's pretty filled out, pretty athletic. That strength and conditioning and program really did him a lot of favors.
So we shall see what the future holds for Mason Smith. If he can take that freakish, I thought his name was number 12 on that list, by the way. If he can take that freakish athleticism and kind of be a huge piece to this team, he's kind of the guy that we want to move forward. He certainly was very, very highly heralded, and something tells me we're going to be talking about some of the greatest players to ever play at LSU in the next segment.
Yes.
Kind of what it sounds like. As
Yes.
Jeremy's lead toss will come up here in about 6 minutes, and maybe he can be one of those guys. But that's a very, very high praise. Mason Smith got every bit of athleticism you could possibly have to it. Our first hour here on a Wednesday is wrapping up. If you missed it, you can catch it on demand, 1045 ESPN.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. It's all there. We'd really appreciate it if you go to the YouTube channel, like it, subscribe. If you do subscribe, we funnel in not just the whole show, but snippets and some of the best interviews that we do all up there on YouTube, and you can catch that right at the tips of your fingers there on YouTube. So we'd appreciate it if you go and like it and subscribe to the page. Glenn West was with us at 12:15. We talked Saints camp at the top of the hour, and then some freaks at the end of the hour. Hour number 2 is coming at you. Cat Terrell from ESPN. Been at Saints camp every single day. She was there today. We'll get her thoughts on what was a big day for the Saints offense at 1:30. Got some more, 1:15, I should say. 1:30, we'll have some more NFL storylines. But Jeremy's lead toss is coming at you, so don't go anywhere. Hope your Wednesday is going very, very well. We hope to be a part of it over the next hour. So come back with us. It's a Wednesday edition of Hunt and Hill.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off new Ford F-150s. We have new 2021 F-150s on our lot now with $10,000 off MSRP. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Master Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Master Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
There's nothing better than tailgating, but it can be a lot of work. So why do it yourself when you don't have to? Let Revelry Sports and Entertainment set up your luxury tailgate on campus. Order what you want and just show up to party. Book your tailgate today at revelryteam.com. Revelry Sports, the official tailgate partner of LSU Athletics.
Hunt and Hill. Hunt Palmer, Jeremy Hill, holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, it's Hunt and Hill. Now on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Back half of the work week. Afternoon on a Wednesday. Hope you are getting through yours just fine. Hour number 2 here of Hunt and Hill. We'll have Catherine Terrell from Metairie at Saints Camp here in 15 minutes from right now. Got some NFL storylines we want to get to at the bottom of the hour as well. Some injuries starting to roll up some places. So we'll talk about a little bit of that as well. But when we start the hour, we want to start with the lead toss.
The lead toss.
Hill trying to go to the outside, turns it upfield, and he breaks it into the clear. He's down to the 10. He's still going. Touchdown, Jeremy Hill.
The lead toss to Jeremy Hill.
Hill to the 20. Hill to the 10. The MVP is in the end zone for LSU. Touchdown, Tigers.
Here's the lead toss to Jeremy Hill.
So some great interactions with the Bayou 4 chat today, and following up with yesterday, we're going to take the Bayou 4 chat suggestion and do the greatest players ever in LSU football history. Yesterday we did the offense, so of course today we have to do the defense. And today, to make things a little more fun, a little more spicy, just so many great players. There's no way you can just pick 4 or 5. So let's put together an entire defense. We got 11 guys out here. You get 2 edge rushers, 2 interior guys. I'll give you 2 stacked backers. I'll give you 3 corners, and I'll give you 2 safety to pick. And I filled out each position. Let's see if you can get who I pick for each position right. So let's start off with the safeties. Which 2 safeties am I putting on this defense? Best 2 safeties in LSU history.
I will admit that I am not as good with history on the defensive side of the ball. It's a little bit more difficult. But Jamal Adams is the best one I've ever seen. So I'm going to go with him at 1. And I'll go with LaRon Landry as the other as my 2.
Dang, you got me there. I did have 2 different guys. I actually went
2 different guys.
Well, no. I went one different guy. I had LaRon Landry, and I actually went with Grant Delpit. I went with Grant Delpit from other safety, but I have no quarrels with Jamal. I think we all know what Jamal was, and just watching him play on that defense, and that defense was very, very, I think, underrated when it's rated with other defenses in LSU history. When you look at, when Arden Key was playing at the level he was playing at, and you had Tre'Davious White in that secondary, Jamal was a big part of those guys playing extremely well. But I had to go with Grant. He did win a Thorpe Award. He did win a national championship. And LaRon was just probably the best safety that I ever laid eyes on. That guy was just absolutely incredible. So I definitely got to have LaRon number 1. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that to me, Jamal was just a heat seeker and just all over the place. He did make some plays on the football. Delpit probably some better ball skills. Jamal a little bit more physical. I go either one of them, but I will take Jamal Adams and LaRon Landry.
All righty here. So stack backers. I think I already know the number 1 guy we're going with for backers. But 2 backers you get to put on that defense. Which 2 guys do you think I picked?
So Devin White for me is the best that I've ever seen at LSU. There are certainly a lot of guys that are in this category, whether it's Michael Brooks in the 80s, Brady James was excellent. Kevin Minner had his great couple of years there right before your turn. And then George Bevan was awesome back in his time in the 60s. But I'm going to go with those 2 for with Devin White and Brady James. Will be my
you hit the nail on the coffin. I went with Brady, and I think to me that's like the genesis of my, remembrance of LSU football is watching Brady James on those defenses. Me just getting into football, just kind of figuring out what's going on out there. And he was a big part of me falling in love with LSU football, just watching him on those defenses, then going to the Cowboys. He was definitely, one of the linebackers that I remember from my childhood. And I think Devin White, just watching him play linebacker, he was special. You don't see a guy that athletic, that fast, that skilled, playing the linebacker position, and he made a lot of people pay for meeting him when he was trying to bring him to the ground. So yeah, Devin White and Brady James, to me, best 2 linebackers in history. So we'll go D-line, give you 2 edge rushers. I'll give you 2 interior guys. Which 4 are you going to fill it out with?
I'm really missing out on defensive ends here. I'm trying to rack my brain. I'm clearly missing someone, so I will fess up when somebody in the Bayou Ford chat tells me that I'm way off here. But I'm gonna, man. Surely it's not 2 guys from the same team. But that's where my head is right now. I've got Marcus Spears and Marquise Hill as my 2 guys, and they were on the same line.
You definitely got Marcus Spears right. I definitely went with Marcus Spears for one, but I actually went with Jarvis Green for my for my other edge rusher. But yeah, I have no issues with Marquise, so I think that's probably, like you said, the most dominant defense we've seen at LSU. Those guys were menacing, and I think they were a huge part of why that defense was so good, because you had those 2 guys coming off the edge wreaking havoc. You had corners for out the wazoo, and then those linebackers were playing physical. But yeah, I have no issues with Marquise Hill. He was definitely one of those guys who was definitely respected. So
Kiki Mingo was really, really good on the edge. I mean, the best start to a career I've ever watched, but it faded, was Arden Key. Yeah. When he came out, I was like, oh my God, this guy's going to set every record they've got. And then it just didn't quite happen for him. Gabe Northern from the Bayou Ford chat, they say that's a good one. But yeah, I felt like I was missing something there. Of course, Tyson Jackson was a top 5 pick. I don't know that his impact was quite to that level at LSU. The measurables were incredible, and he was a good player, no doubt about it. But that's a spot where I probably would need to do a little bit more thinking. All
right, so now we got to go to the interior. I think we all know who number 1 is for the interior rusher.
That'll be Glenn Dorsey.
Number 2 is going to be the one where you got to kind of figure it out a little bit.
For me, look, Booger was awesome. I think Kyle Williams had a brilliant NFL career. He was a good player at LSU too, for sure. But for me, for his time at LSU in the middle of the defensive front, I'm going to go with Chad Lavalley. Yep. He was just absolutely a beast in the early 2000s. On that 2003 team, he was just unstoppable. It didn't quite pan out in the NFL. The size wasn't quite there, but the quickness, the size, the strength at college, he was something.
Yeah, that's exactly what I want. I went with Chad Lavalley with my other D tackle, and I think anytime you're SEC Defensive Player of the Year and an interior rusher, that means you're impacting the game. You're making some plays out there. So I think we all know the impact Glenn had, and so you're looking at a defensive line. You got Marcus Spears, you got Chad Lavalley, you got Glenn Dorsey, and I went with Jarvis Green. I'm not too mad at obviously Marquise Hill either, but I think these 3 right here, gonna have some a lot of options here for cornerback. I go 3 corners. You go to nickel back, and I'll give you 2 outside guys. Let's see where you go here.
Okay, this is so hard. I could make a compelling case in my brain for 3 guys on the outside. There's only 1 on the inside that's even worth mentioning, and that's going to be Tyron. I have to have him out there because of what he was for this program. But I can't. I think everyone would say you have to say Patrick Peterson. He was awesome. I absolutely love Patrick Peterson. I thought personally that Morris Claiborne was a better man-to-man cornerback at LSU just in terms of coverage. Patrick Peterson was faster. He had ridiculous highlights in kick return game. The measurables were incredible. He's been brilliant in the pros, and Morris wasn't quite that. He was so good at LSU on that great defense in man-to-man coverage. Then what Stingley did his first year and then not really able to replicate it because of all the circumstances that were around it the last 2 years, kind of hurts him there. And then you got the guy who kind of started this whole thing, which is Corey Webster, who was an All-American and was a Super Bowl champion. If I've got to go 2 on the outside, I'll go Patrick Peterson, Morris Claiborne. I leave Sting and C-Web out, and it hurts me badly.
Oh man, look, you got Pat P. There's no world I can have PP7 out of my top cornerbacks in history. There's no way I could do that. But I actually went with Corey Webster for my other position. I think that those defenses, like you said, you had Corey on the outside, you had that D line. To me, watching him, and like you said, man to man, don't throw a go ball anywhere near Corey. He's got to high point it. He's got to pick it off, and the defense has got to get another turnover. So for me, I have no issues with no Mo either. He's another Thor pointer. Watching him in those Bama games, their receivers couldn't do a lick against him. They knew not to throw it his way. So yeah, you got options, man. I didn't go with Sting. Like, to me, you want to talk about the best freshman season I've ever seen?
Yes.
I don't think you can top Derek Stingley, but talking about careers here, I can't put Stingley over those guys.
Stephen Miller says, Hunt, don't overthink it. Do not mention Stingley in the same breath as Honey Badger, Patrick Peterson. Look, I mean, Stingley's impact was not that much less significant than Tyron. Tyron was a spot guy as a freshman who played some. Stingley over his last 2 years was in and out, and then he was brilliant for a year, and Stingley was absolutely brilliant for a year on a championship team. I think there's certainly merit to that in terms of the skill level that he had, in terms of the production. Maybe not as some of the other guys, but God, that freshman year, sometimes you always want that 5-star to get to the field and say, okay, how good is he really? And it took absolutely zero time to realize, my gosh, that guy is every bit as good as we thought he could be.
Yeah, and I think recent memory does affect a lot of people's thoughts. So I know we all feel how we felt last season watching the way things ended for Sting, but you go back to 2019 and you look at some of the receivers he was going against. It wasn't scrap metal, man. He was going against first-round receivers week in and week out. You're playing against, like my boy Bilbo said, you're playing against 7 top 10 teams in the country, man. And so to see him out there as a true freshman on that island, he was playing press man coverage, getting multiple interceptions throughout the season. Yeah, I got to have Sting up there just to me career-wise. That's why I think he takes a lick. But we got to stop the Sting disrespect, man. That kid was definitely a huge talent for the Tigers.
It was certainly that. So that's a fun little exercise you go through there. It really does highlight just how golden this era has been, because it's just very, very, very rare in this. And we're young guys, so there's certainly guys we could have missed, but it's very rare that you go outside of this 22-year window. When Saban got here, everything before that, you throw in a guy here or there, whether it's a Kevin Falk or Tommy Casanova or one of these Michael Brooks or Brady James. I mean, Brady James after that, but you just don't have to dip back very far because this has been the golden era, and it just keeps going. Hopefully it continues to go, and the last 2 years aren't indicative of what we are to see. So that's our lead toss for today. Appreciate Jeremy for coming up with that. Cat Terrell is going to be with us on Saints Camp. Got a lot of stuff to ask her. Pete Werner was not out there today. Why? Jameis not out there. How did Dalton look? Any concerns on the defense? Because the offense is winning the day. And I've always want to ask everybody that covers the Saints and that's out there what they think about the running back spot. So if you've got questions for Cat Terrell and you want to hear about the Saints and have a question, go into the Bayou 4 chat, fire it away. We'll have her next on Hunt and Hill.
Hunt Palmer and Jeremy Hill. It's Hunt and Hill.
I had somebody in the Bayou 4 chat a little bit earlier. I'm not going to go back and find it, but say they went to lunch at Iverstein Butcher today. And we appreciate that because Galen Iverstein is this month's champion of Louisiana, presented by LWCC.
Yeah, Galen founded and owns and operates a full butcher shop and smokehouse in Baton Rouge. And as the owner of Iverstein Farms Butcher, Galen brings sustainable, locally raised meats directly to Louisiana consumers, enabling customers to connect with local farms and expanding opportunities for farmers who cultivate and support Louisiana's land has been a decade-long goal. With a background in giving them to a platform
that I noticed when going through and looking and researching on Galen is that he obviously has his operation, but he's going to other farmers in our great state and supporting them and giving them the opportunity to reach more people with their sustainable farming, which is great for our environment. It's great for our economy. It's great for our bellies. Galen has a great butcher shop at Iverstein Farms Butcher that has been recently. They've moved there. It's larger. It allows him to expand his mission in new ways. We're so proud to highlight Galen Iverstein right here in the great city of Baton Rouge and what he's doing for the state of Louisiana. LWCC is going to allow us to do that every single day here on Hunt and Hill. If you know someone who is a champion of Louisiana, nominate them through LWC's website at www.lwcc.com/Louisiana Loyal so we can tell the story. We want to do that. It's a great thing for our great state to elevate and celebrate some of the great people and operations in our state of Louisiana. And it's all made possible by LWCC. LWCC is Louisiana Loyal.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off MSRP on all new 2022 Ram Black Widow trucks in stock. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Vizzy, the first hard seltzer with antioxidant vitamin C. It just hits different. Vizzy.
On Thursdays, Off the Bench, the latest on the LSU quarterback race and what's going on, the black and gold. Plus, we got a brand new edition of Big Deal or No Big Deal. Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Out in the open field here on a Wednesday edition of Hunt and Hill. Head down to beautiful, scenic Metairie once again. Cat Terrell covers the Saints for ESPN. She joins us now on the phone lines. Cat, thanks for your time. How are you?
I'm doing good. I am actually in New Orleans, driving back from Metairie through this rainstorm that seems to have followed us every single day of Saints camp.
That's the way it works in South Louisiana, as you know very, very well. So, look, we were talking yesterday with Sharif, and he said, look, I think the offense is kind of getting the better of this defense, and then Jameis comes down, and Andy Dalton takes the field today, and it sounded like the red zone period was flawless offensively. So, clearly the defense stinks, right?
Obviously, I mean, what is training camp if you're not just going to jump to outrageous conclusions after a week?
No, that's kind of the way it goes. But it sounds like the offense looks very good. I think where I want to start offensively is with Michael Thomas, who I've heard the term ramp up like a million times. Appears he's ramped up pretty good at this point.
Yeah, you know, I think he looks great. And so many times we fall into the trap of this guy looks good in training camp or this guy looks good going against nobody. But I think the bigger picture with Michael Thomas is that he looks better every day. And that's exactly what the team wants to see. It's what the fans want to see. I think they add a little more to his plate all the time. And, he's taken that and run with it. I thought he looked awesome in that 7-on-7 period that you were talking about. He's making contested catches. He's not afraid to go to the ground. Just all of these things that show he has faith that, this repaired ankle is going to hold up. And that's going to be really important for the Saints this year.
All signs are pointing to Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle, having a good training camp while Jameis has missed time. If Jameis were to miss games this season and Andy plays well, do you think the Saints would keep him as a starter?
Probably not. I mean, they'd probably go back to Jameis, but I guess it would depend on just how well Andy's playing. The funny thing about Dalton is I remember very vividly when they signed him, a lot of fans were upset because not only did they pay him, I don't think they paid him that much money, but they paid him a decent amount for, a backup. They signed him during the period where it would affect compensatory picks. And I just wanted to say, did you not watch the quarterback play last year?
Yeah.
Why are people getting so upset? And, the fact that Dalton went out there, looked great, shows exactly why they signed him. They don't want to deal with that again. So I think it was a great signing, and I think Dalton can play very well in this offense. You're already seeing that. As he said, he's been in a million offenses by this point, so he can handle it. So he's definitely a good backup to have around.
Your thoughts on the Adam Troutman, Taysom Hill combo at the tight end spot?
Well, I was kind of a little surprised when the first unofficial depth chart came out and it said Troutman or Hill as the number one tight end. Now, I know the depth chart doesn't account for two tight ends, just like they never account for what happens when they line up in nickel. But it was just interesting to kind of see, okay, Vanette is definitely the number two, especially just considering Taysom himself has said he's still got a lot to learn as a guy who's going to be focusing almost purely on that spot now. There's no more quarterback meetings for him. So I think it'll be really interesting to see how he kind of takes that position and runs with it, but also how Troutman does in this year 3. It's a big year for him. I think he's looked good in training camp. Again, trying not to fall for the training camp hype, but I think this could be the year he takes a big step.
I think all Saints fans are really comfortable with what Cam Jordan brings to the team, but Marcus Davenport has missed a lot of time through his career with the Saints. Do the Saints feel confident in another edge rusher if Davenport were to miss time?
Well, I think that the fact that both Davenport and Peyton Turner have had their own injury issues does make that a little, I guess, disconcerting. Yeah, Turner is very talented, but we really didn't get to see that last year because he spent most of the time on the sidelines with a shoulder injury. It's the same thing with Davenport. When he's on the field, he's great. They did last year. They did sign Tano Campagnol, and I think that's a good signing. But they really need Turner and Davenport to be good so they can do the rotation that they want. But just can I keep them healthy? I don't know the answer to that at this point.
She's on Twitter at @Cat_Terrell, covers the Saints for ESPN. I know Pete Werner missed some time today. Do you have an update there? And in the second part to that, is there some depth issue at linebacker?
Well, he is dealing with the same groin injury that was an issue at the beginning of training camp, which to me is a pretty bad sign if there's a reoccurrence of that. If he gets back on the field in the next few days, obviously, I guess things are okay, but the fact that it's the same injury definitely needs to be cause for concern, not to panic anyone. I do think they have. Has also been dealing with an injury, so really they don't have a lot there. They tried to sign Kiko Alonso, and that kind of blew up in their face when he decided as if they're just looking around as much as they can to.
And I saw Quan Alexander get signed by the Jets last week. Do you think that's a guy that could have?
I've seen it a lot on social media today. Everyone's kind of saying, why didn't they sign Quan? They know him. He's played well for them. I guess they just wanted to move on from him for whatever reason. But, hindsight is 20/20. But if you're going to go back to Kiko Alonso, who hasn't played in a couple of years, surely Quan Alexander would have been someone to maybe you look at. But maybe they had more faith in their depth at the time than they did. I mean, that's the thing about training camp, though. The depth can change very quickly, and then you're kind of left trying to figure out what to do. It's why they went and got Alonso a few years back, I think. So they're just going to have to see who plays well in preseason games and scour the waiver wire unless they want to make a big trade.
Saints headed for Houston this weekend. You can follow along with Cat Terrell at Cat Terrell on Twitter. Covers the Houdats for ESPN. Cat, thanks so much for your time. Stay dry.
Yeah, I'm going to try.
We appreciate the time from Catherine Terrell down there in New Orleans. Interesting on the linebacker front. Matt yesterday on his show said, "Hey, Roquan wants out of Chicago. He's as good as there is in the league. Go get him." And I don't disagree. Hey, if you can make it work, he's got 1 year left on his deal, and it appears the Bears are not going to be able to ink him to an extension. So that fits quite nicely next to Demario Davis. You can make it work.
Yeah, if you can make it work, I know Roquan's going to be one to get paid handsomely for his services as a linebacker. I mean, to me, he's one of the better inside linebackers in the league. But yeah, he would look great for the Saints in that black and gold. But I just don't know if the Saints can fit that under their cap.
Probably not. But if there's one team that can do it, it's the Saints that would figure out a way to make that work. So we'll certainly be monitoring it. DeBon was a pick last year, and we thought, man, that's going to be a guy that comes in and finds his way, and he just has been kind of a non-factor in his time in New Orleans thus far. It's kind of Davis and who else. And look, they were very, very high on Pete Werner entering camp, and there's a lot of reason for that. But the injuries seem to be, as Kat says, they're recurring. And if you can't get on the practice field and you can't heal up, it's going to be tough to make a big impact. That's going to be something for us to watch here in Saints camp as we try to, I don't want to say manufacture storylines, because that's not. Your quarterback missing a couple of days with a foot injury, and your guy that you're counting on at linebacker missing a little bit of time as well is not a manufactured storyline. But there aren't a ton of uncertainties on the Saint roster. That may be one of them, so that'll be something to certainly keep an eye on as we move forward. So a lot to talk about on the NFL front. We've also got a little bit of take on LIV Golf, courtesy of David Faraday. Maybe a refreshing take on LIV Golf. That is something that I haven't been very much prone to getting into, but we'll see what get to the forefront. Let's talk some NFL football next when we come back. It's Hunt and Hill.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge with Hunt and Hill.
Bayou Ford. Check out the website, BayouFord.com. They got your Explorers. They got your Expeditions. They got your F-150s, your F-250s. They've got the Broncos, which are going quickly. So if you're in the market for a Bronco, let them customize one right there at BayouFord.com. They can turn that thing around in 60 to 90 days. They are fresh. They are awesome. Go check out the inventory, BayouFord.com.
Yeah, also go to BayouFord.com. They have the all-new 2022 Ford Expedition Timberline. It's lifted. It has ceramic window tint. Also, all-new 2021 Ford F-150s. They're getting $14,000 off MSRP, even the Black Widow edition.
Don't stutter through the $14,000 off MSRP. That's the most important part there at BayouFord.com. Their service station is incredible. The convenience is unbelievable. You don't have time to go get your car serviced. Let Bayou Ford come pick it up, take it to get serviced, and bring it right back to you while you get on with your day. The kids are back in school. You're back at the office. Don't have time to get away. They can help you there at BayouFord.com. Check out the website, BayouFord.com, what they're going to do right by you.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Before we begin any electrical work here, we perform a home safety check that begins at your electrical panel to make sure that you and your family are safe. For all your upgrades, installations, and repairs, call Mr. Electric.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care. It's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Auctioner.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes LUBA a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off new Ford F-150s. We have new 2021 F-150s on our lot now with $10,000 off MSRP. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR presented by Pluckers. We'll get you an update from Saints camp. It's a Whiskey Wednesday. We'll do overrated, underrated. Join us Wednesday, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
So we mentioned in the last segment that the Saints are a little thin on linebacker and that Roquan Smith wants out. The question now is, as we kind of shift away from the Saints and just talk about Roquan, the situation as a whole, that's a top 10 pick the Bears invested. He's among the top 5 in the NFL in tackles over the last 3 seasons. He's an all-pro type player, and the Bears are a long way away, a lot of pieces away from being a really good team. Do they dig up the cash and find a way to extend him, or are they going to have to get rid of him?
No, I think they got to get rid of him. I think linebacker is one of those positions I'm trying to talk about. I don't want to throw any shade at anybody here, but there's certain positions that are just a lot more important in football. And so I think for the Bears, they need to be getting as many offensive linemen as they can. If they feel good about Justin Fields, then they need to do everything in their power to protect him. And spending almost $20 million on a middle linebacker, that's going to hurt your team out a ton. So I think for them, they're probably going to let Roquan go. If they were smart, they'd try to get it, a draft pick for him if they could. But just right now, looking at that roster and looking at them really not having a real number one receiver or a tight end that's really a threat in the passing game, I think it's going to be a long year for the Bears, and for Roquan, that can't be good going into the last year you do.
And they gave Roquan an offer that reportedly was backloaded, so it had the money on the end, and there were a ton of de-escalators in it for performance. And Roquan, this is something that I didn't consider in my earlier years of following sports. I just always wondered, why do they have to take so much money? Why? And then you realize that not only, and this is something that Chris Bryant was big on when he was with the Cubs and not signing an extension while he was there, is that he felt as a former MVP and a guy with some positional versatility and real power and a championship and a lot of accolades, that his responsibility to the rest of Major League Baseball to set the market at a spot where he needs to is really important. And Roquan Smith said, one, I don't like the ridiculous amount of de-escalators in this thing that would take money away from me at the back end of my contract. And two, if I sign this, then I'm hurting all the linebackers in the league, which is a reasonable thought. It doesn't help the Bears at all, but it's a reasonable thought.
No, it's a huge thought. And you've seen players really go out on the shield and do things for the league. I think Le'Veon Bell, to me, was a martyr for all guys, who are fighting that front. And that's sitting out an entire season just so he doesn't ruin the running back market. And so I think that's good for the players, the owners. They have a right, to offer you what you want to do. But I think as players, you got to use as much leverage as you can. And so to see Roquan, being in this last year, being one of the best linebackers in the league, you got to use that leverage because to me, someone's going to pay him, but just probably not going to be the Bears.
What are the 49ers going to do with Jimmy Garoppolo? I was listening a little bit earlier today. I did some reading up a little bit today. It's not a situation I've paid a ton of attention to. I know that they announced that Trey Fields is there, and that Trey, help me out. Trey Lance is their guy.
The quarterback.
I've merged him with Justin Fields there from the Bears. That Trey Lance, their guy. And so what are they going to do with Jimmy G? Do you cut him? Or do you think you can find a trade partner?
Yeah, it's kind of like if you got a nice, flat screen in your living room, but you go on social media every day and say, hey, I want to get rid of this thing. I want to get rid of this thing. Everyone knows you want to get rid of it, so no one's going to want to really pay that price that you probably want to get for it. And I think that's exactly where the 49ers are. I mean, even though Jimmy G has been to a Super Bowl, has been to an NFC Championship game, everyone knows that the 49ers kind of have to move him. They're moving on past him, so it's going to be tough for them to really get what they want. I mean, they gave up a second-round pick for him, so I'm sure that they're going to want something very similar. But I just don't see any team doing that, especially with him probably making $25 million plus this year. Fitting that on the cap at this point, it's going to be very, very tough to do.
The thought is that they don't want him. They don't want to cut him and have the Seahawks sign him right in the division, right there, playing him twice a year. They want. I mean, I think they're trying to get Cleveland involved here because you're a little thin there with the 6-gamer that could be escalated here in the next couple of days with Deshaun Watson. We'll see, and maybe that triggers something if they do suspend Deshaun Watson for the year. Maybe the Browns get a little more aggressive and say, hey, we got to go get Jimmy Garoppolo. So they do have a little bit of time there. But if I'm Jimmy Garoppolo, I'm sitting there going, let me know who I'm playing for so I can figure out how to learn this system. It's clearly not the Niners. So how do we make this work? It's not a great situation for him to be in.
Yeah, I mean, I just heard Cam Newton talking about that and just saying as a quarterback, you're putting yourself in a very, very bad situation when, you have to know everything. It's not like you're a receiver and they just tell you, hey, go run a go route. Hey, go run a post route. You got to know what everyone on that field is doing to do your job at a high level. So for a quarterback, the later you get into the process, the tougher it is because you still got to work on time and you still got to work on handoffs. You're working with all new receivers, all new teammates. It's very, very difficult to do. So the longer this goes on for Jimmy G, the worse off it is for him. So I think all parties involved, they kind of want to get moved on from this situation. But if I know the NFL like I know it, I don't think anyone's going to be coughing up any second-round picks for Jimmy G.
Speaking of bad situations for quarterbacks, Mekhi Becton looks like he is out for the year. Tackle spot for the Jets. Need Zach Wilson to kind of grow into your guy. And now you're losing one of your bookends trying to protect him. That is a bad deal for the New York Jets.
Look, man, everyone's expecting big things from Zach, especially with the summer he had. So I think for the Jets, losing Mekhi Becton, that's a tough deal. And I think, we saw him have some flashes as a rookie. It kind of reminds me of the movie Blindside. If you ever got your eyes on Mekhi Becton, he's a big 6'8" kid who weighs a lot of pounds. And so he can move people around, especially in the run game. And so for them to lose him, that's a big blow. I know they're expecting big things from him. So hopefully they can find someone to fix him because without him, it looks like the Jets are going to continue to be the Jets most likely.
And down in Tampa, they're dropping like flies down there. You lose your starting center, you lose your backup center. He got carted off, and then they went, oh, wait, it was just a cramp. No big deal, he'll be back. But Russell Gage, unfortunately, did leave practice with an apparent leg injury. No indication right now how serious that's going to be. But, look, things are a little bumpy down there in Tampa right now.
Yeah, it's the last thing you need. And a rare thing from Tom, but he was, calling on my boy Russell early on in the offseason and letting him know how much he needed him. I think he was dealing with stuff even in the offseason. And so, you want to get him back healthy. I think especially with Godwin being out, the last thing the Bucs need is also their number 2 receiver supposed to be out. So now Julio is going to have to jump into a lot bigger role than you're probably expecting him to. And now you really only got 2 receivers on the outside you really feel good about. So got to get Gage back for the season because that offense is going to take a huge hit if he's missing.
So that's kind of your run around the NFL news of the day. We'll keep you posted on that day to day as stories continue to develop. I want to remind you that professional golfers John Peterson and JJ Colleen answer all your golf and life questions inside the new Drop Biscuit Studios podcast for the people, FORE, the people. Download or subscribe today at dropbiscuit.com. Speaking of golf, I want to spend a quick 5 minutes on golf because there's one thing that came out in LIV that I think is refreshing. There's one thing that came out in LIV that makes me want to throw up right here on this desk right there. We'll start with the good, and then we'll wind over to the bad. David Faraday, who has done golf television for a couple decades, had a a good career as a professional golfer, played on a Ryder Cup for Team Europe, was a good player, but a better personality in the game of golf, and really, really good on TV. He was asked why he left NBC to join LIV Golf, and this was his quote: "Money. People don't talk about it, I hear. Well, they say to grow the game, and I say bull. They paid me a lot of money." And I thought that was exactly right. Money is exactly what he's doing. That's refreshing for him to say. And then he continued, "I wanted an opportunity to be myself again. It's become more and more difficult, especially in sports broadcasting, to have any kind of character. Charles Barkley can say pretty much anything he wants because, oh, that's just Charles." And it is just Charles. But I've become more and more guarded over the last few years. There are people waiting around at every corner hoping to be offended by something. Expletive, those people. Our lives are being shaped by small groups of mean-spirited people who have no sense of humor. We're in danger of losing our national sense of humor because of this. And so this is a lot to unpack from Faraday. But one, I'm thrilled that he came out and said, look, they gave me a bunch of cash. I'm not here to grow the game. I'm not here to play less golf, as everybody's saying, which is a complete lie. I'm just here because LIV's got a lot of money and they're giving me a lot of money. And on the flip side of it, he feels like he can be a little bit unfettered, especially when they don't have a television contract. On YouTube, you can say whatever you want. So he's kind of freed up. So I thought for one person to give a real answer on LIV Golf was really refreshing.
I thought your boy Pat Perez in there. He was pretty close to this. But yeah, I think for this, but
he went off the deep end saying that his wife went into labor and he couldn't leave the tournament, which is absolute garbage. He's so full.
Yeah, I think this is a little different than that. So yeah, I think as this thing kind of goes, especially with cancel culture being so prevalent nowadays in America. Maybe this is, a lot worse for the PGA. And I think, for me, that's the most scary thing when this becomes a deal where no one really cares that anyone's going to go. So no one's really, pointing the finger. No one's kind of making a big deal about it. What's reason is for guys not to accept all this money just to go play some golf on the weekend. And so as this thing goes, I think it's an ever-evolving situation. So many decisions have to be made. So many court decisions have to be made. I think the genesis of this thing is right now. It's gonna be going for a little bit here. So I'm kind of intrigued to see how it all plays out.
It's look, the guys that LIV got for their first couple of events fit into some categories. They were either well past their prime: Ian Poulter, Lee Westwood, Phil Mickelson. Those guys, they're non-factors in professional golf. Yeah, Phil won that PGA last year. He caught lightning in a bottle for 4 days. He never makes the cut anymore. Those guys are past their prime. Pat Perez falls into that category. Those guys, toast. They also had some guys who are just socially a little different. Brooks Koepka is basically a too cool for school jock, borderline jerk. Bryson DeChambeau doesn't fit in really anywhere. He's awkward in interviews. He says weird things. He does weird things with his friends. He's just a weird dude. That guy is a little odd, and you pull him. Dustin Johnson doesn't care about anything. He just saunters around, doesn't care about reputation, doesn't care about legacy. He just, he got $100 million. All right, that's great. Like there's that guy who that they pride that are really good players, and then they pride some young guys who have very questionable futures that are not guaranteed to be legacy players and highly successful players on the PGA Tour. They had not cracked into the great, young, socially adjusted player. They had not cracked into Rory McIlroy, Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas, those guys, Tony Finau, like none of those guys they got. Well, that's starting because Cam Smith fits right in that, and he's going, as he refused to answer yesterday with Mark Leishman, and the report just came out very recently that Cam Young, who was a big factor in 2 of the majors this year, is very likely going to follow after the Tour Championship. These guys are in their early and mid-20s. These guys are top 15, 20, 10 players in the world. Cam Smith is a top 2 player in the world, and they're guys who have legacy right at their fingertips, are guaranteed to have a lot of money and really long career, barring something very, very unforeseen. And for them to pull those guys away, these are no longer guys past their prime or weirdos or young guys who really may not have a future. This is the nuts and bolts of the tour, and it's splitting in half. And it just it makes me want to vomit.
Yeah, I mean, that's the worst news the PGA probably could have gotten. I mean, you got recent tournament winners joining the LIV Tour, and so now nothing's off the table. Now everyone's at the grass of LIV, and I think as this thing kind of goes and their pockets aren't getting any emptier by the day, they're going to be able to pick and prod and know who they want from the professional game, and that's guys who are ranked very, very high in the world golf rankings. And so That's not good. I think for LIV, that's exactly what they want. And so who knows what their end goal is. I mean, if they're not going to be in the World Golf Rankings, like, do they just want to continue to just take guys from the tour and just pay them a bunch of money? Like, what's their end game here? Because I see with this much money getting put out, there's no way they can recoup this much money that fast.
No, they'll never recoup.
Yeah, so it's just what's their end game? Are they just washing money? Like, who knows what's going on right now? Like, who knows?
I just really, really dislike Greg Norman. And it makes me so mad that his ego, so massive, is being inflated when he is just simply a puppet for an endless supply of money. There are millions of people around the world that could take hundreds of millions and billions of dollars and just pay people to do whatever it is that he wants. And he thinks that he's revolutionizing the world of golf when he's just crippling it from the inside and ruining it for the golf fan. Whatever. I'm not going to talk about it very much. Let's go ahead and finish things up. Coming up with Take It or Leave It next on Hunt and Hill.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. This week on DropBiscuit.com or wherever you listen to podcasts is our new series, Pops, the Louis Armstrong story. Pops is brought to you by New Orleans & Company. Check out NewOrleans.com and come visit New Orleans.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
3 people walk into a bar. The first 2 order the same old margs. The third, Nuevo Topo Chico Margarita Hard Seltzer. Crafted with real lime juice and a crisp tequila flavor. Topo Chico Margarita Hard Seltzer.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
On Thursdays, Off the Bench, the latest on the LSU quarterback race and what's going on, the black and gold. Plus, we got a brand new edition of Big Deal or No Big Deal. Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Really, really fired up for tomorrow's show. It is going to be a blast. It's going to be easy content, and it should be a lot of fun, hopefully for you, the listener. We will get to watch an entire scrimmage inside Tiger Stadium tomorrow, so the guys on OTB can preview it, but we'll have the first crack at looking at what we saw in Tiger Stadium, and then Matt will certainly have a ton of it at 3 o'clock on After Further View. I think the early lines will get to it as well, as they're a little more focused on the gambling side, but they're talking some football as well on early lines. So it's going to be a content-loaded show. We'll go down to Saints Camp and get Luke Johnson as they put the final finishing touches on a little bit of prep for Houston. So tons to get to on a Thursday edition of Hunt and Hill tomorrow. Very, very, very much looking forward to that. Let's finish up today's show with some Take It or Leave It.
Alrighty here. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, he visited 8 NFL training camps. One of his stops, the Tennessee Titans, with him saying Ryan Tannehill has been impressing coaches and teammates with his play. Are you taking or leaving? Tannehill finishes the season as a starter.
I'll take it.
I'll take it.
He's fine, and they're going to run the ball, and they got a pretty good roster, and their division is I mean, they got 2 teams that are atrocious, and I think the Colts are going to be really good. I think they're going to win that division, but he's fine. He's just your baseline. Like he's the middle of the pack. There are some guys that are going to be worse than him. They're going to turn it over. They don't have the experience. There are a lot of guys a lot better than him. It's just he's the bottom of the barrel in terms of a playoff guy. That's kind of where I am on that. What about you?
Yeah, I think that's how I've always felt about him, and I think he's just like that average guy. He's going to always be within that 15 to 20 range, and that's me like the worst range to be in because you show just enough to give the fans enough hope, but you also, you never get it done in the end. So that's kind of, to me, the worst spot to be in. All right, here, I think you're up here.
Jeremy's former next-door neighbor, Tommy Tuberville, the senator working with the SEC to make a bill surrounding NIL that will regulate the way the college athletes are compensated. Regulation should be brought to NIL. Take it or leave it.
Yeah, I got to shout out my former neighbor. So he was a head coach at Cincinnati when I was a bingo, and he lived right across the street from me. You shake hands with him all the time. And actually, his former quarterback at Auburn was my teammate, Jason Campbell. So just funny how that football circle always comes around. But got to disagree with you, Mr. Tuberville here. I think I will not take this. I think bringing regulation to NIL just kind of defeats the whole purpose of it. I don't think a player should suffer. I don't think Bryce Young should suffer because the UAB quarterback isn't making enough money. Like, you should be able to make just however much you demand. I think you should be able to allow to be make that. So got to disagree with you on that one.
I kind of been on the same wavelength since this started. Like I don't have a great solution to it. I really don't. I see the merit in trying to cap things and keep them under control. I see the reason that we are where we are is that you want guys to be able to make as much as they possibly can. That's what makes America a great place. So look, I see both sides of it. I don't think what Tommy Tuberville does is gonna come to fruition. It's certainly gonna come from the far right side of the aisle. But we'll see. I'm open to hearing what things are. I just don't have a strong stance on it, which is not great radio. But I'm not just gonna make something up. That's just the way I feel.
All right, PGA Tour golfers Rory McIlroy, he joins Dustin Thomas in saying that LIV Golf members should not be allowed to enter the PGA's FedEx Golf playoffs. Are you taking or leaving? LIV members should not be allowed to play.
I'll leave that. I think they can play if they qualified for this year, but right now, the way it's set up, they're going to lose all their official World Golf Ranking points, and they're not going to qualify for next year's playoffs, and so that leaves things up to the majors on how they're going to invite guys in. That's really the only hope that I see to kill this thing, which I still don't know if they will. If they want to do it, they're going to do it. They don't have to make any money on it, but if the only way to kill it is to tell these guys they can't play in the majors, and some won't care. Dustin Johnson won't care. He can play in the Masters until until the cows come home. Cam Smith can play in the Open Championship until he's 60. So some of the guys won't care maybe, but that's the only hope you've got because you're not going to be able to keep these guys from going with the astronomical amount of money that they're throwing out there. It's just not gonna happen. NBA insiders from ESPN.com made their way too early predictions for the 2022-2023 NBA season. They've got the Golden State Warriors continuing the dynasty and winning a back-to-back title. Golden State winning back-to-back. Take it or leave it.
It's hard not to take it. It's hard not to. So I guess I'll take it, man. I think you're looking at what their team is and, just how well they're playing, and they're getting everyone back. Get Wiggins back. You're getting Clay back coming into a season healthy. It's hard to bet against Steph right now. So, yeah, I guess I'll take this as much as my Lakers should be in it.
It all comes up Steph, as you would imagine. Speaking of golf, Steph, great player. Great shooter as well. So, yeah, look, I would bet against them if I get the rest of the league as opposed to them. That would be a pretty easy bet for me to make. But would I feel awesome about it come next June? Probably not, because they'll probably show up and be pretty salty. Football season just around the corner. Get ready to make your picks for this year's 104.5 ESPN Twin Peaks College Football Pick'em. Got to register now at ESPN 1045ESPN.com. Weekly winners are going to get $50 to Twin Peaks. The first place season-long champ is going to get a 75-inch 4K flat screen television. It's 2022 104.5 ESPN Twin Peaks College Football Pick'em. You got 2 weeks to enter, but might as well go to 1045ESPN.com right now and go ahead and make that happen, because you're going to want to win a massive 75-inch television. That's always, 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 always good. All right, let's go back over the show as it were. We open things up with Saints camp. Offense humming. Mike Thomas looking great. Taysom making catches. What's wrong with the defense? Where's Pete Werner? We talked about all that at 12 o'clock. Glenn West from Go247 was with us at 12:15 talking LSU camp. I complained about crossover opponents in the SEC at 12:30, and then we finished the hour with Bruce Feldman's biggest freaks in college football. Mason Smith checked in at number 12 on that list. Jeremy's lead toss, talking about the best players in LSU history on defense. Cat Terrell from ESPN was with us at 1:15 talking Saints. Vet day for Ryan Ramczyk. Pete Werner not practicing. Linebacker depth being an issue. We talked about all that with Cat Terrell from ESPN. We went through some NFL storylines as well as some LIV Golf there in hour number 2. If you missed any of it, you can catch it on demand at 1045ESPN.com. Go to the on-demand tab, hit Hunt and Hill. You can also go to YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all those places you can find us. We are fired up for tomorrow's show. Don't miss it. We'll be recapping LSU scrimmage from Tiger Stadium. We will be there. Matt's going to drive you home today from 3 to 6 on AFR. Jimmy Yacht's Game Time 6 to 8. Mario and Musso coming at you next with your early line. We'll see you tomorrow on Hunt and Hill.